Hey folks, thank you for tuning into Harmonica Talk. I've got Christian Marsh in the studio.
Hello everybody.
We've been mates for a while, and it's such an honour to have you here, man. How you doing?
Well, thanks for having me. I'm pretty good, thank you.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And Christian's in my book one of the best players in the country in Australia.
Stop it.
Well, I mean, like most harmonica players play a bit of diatonic, right? And you know, like what I love about you is you treat it as a real instrument. We had Joe Falisco on last week, though, and I mean,
I saw that.
man, Joe's taken. What I love about Joe, he's taken the diatonic harmonica, and he says that his catchphrase that he always says is great is like, harmonica players grossly misinterpret how important chords are.
Yeah.
You know, and but you've sort of gone the other way as well. Like you're using it as a real instrument. You play with orchestras and you play the chromatic. So like, basically, folks, how Christian plays the harmonica is how saxophones treat instruments. Like he learns all the scales that people try to escape by. They pick up a harmonica. He's got like a few different. Like he's got a whole bunch of harmonicas here, but like the thing is, Christian can play one harmonica in several different keys. How many positions do you play in normally?
Oh, look, I tend to go for all the modal positions. So it's 8 different positions on one harmonica.
Yeah.
And that's because they're scale tuned and it relates to the modes.
Yeah.
And so I tend to mainly work within those positions. Second flat is not modal, but I would use it because it's a really good position. But beyond second, like third, fourth, fifth flat, I don't tend to use it. If I'm going to need to play in those positions, I tend to go for chromatic.
Right.
Because to play in positions like third, fourth flat, the notes that you want are really you get by bends and overblows, and I find that it sounds a bit torturous to me to play like that.
Yeah.
And I like the cleaner sound, and so I'd be inclined to go for chromatic. But sometimes when you're playing jazz on diatonic, sometimes you're forced to play in fourth position. So if you've got a change that goes from say C to E flat and then D, and you want to do it on a let's just say a B flat harmonica, you've got to play in positions that you're not comfortable with to get through those changes.
Yeah.
So it's handy to know how to do. But I tend, like I say, to use chromatic when I'm doing jazz pieces that require those sort of changes.
Yeah.
Because I just like the cleanliness of the sound.
Yeah, and as you'll be able to tell straight away, those of you who are just beginning harmonica, that you know most harmonica players, they learn how to do like a train, and they know how to do like they do the bending notes and all that sort of stuff. But you've treated it as a full blown instrument, right? So it's like Christian's talking in the same terminology that guitar players and saxophonists play. So Christian, but in saying that, he can dumb it down and play the blues stuff, not a problem. But you know, for those of you who are looking at taking the harmonica further afield, this is the guy. You know, like
the way I think about harmonica is, I've always played with bands that not necessarily playing blues; they're playing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And they want you to play certain melody lines or contribute to the ensemble that you're playing with. You're just happening to use a harmonica in that ensemble.
Yeah.
Now, so it's of no value to other musicians if you talk about third position, because they don't know what it is. And if they're talking to me, they're going, "Can you play in the Dorian scale?" Now, the Dorian scale is third position, and so if I talk in those terms to them, they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so like third position, what he means there for the people who aren't versed on it is like St James Infirmary, you know, that sort of stuff. Playing a C harmonica in D minor, playing the minor blues sort of stuff.
So it's sort of.
So it gives an example.
No, it's minor.
Minor, it's very minor sort of scale. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
As opposed to the major. that's more major. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's great. Yeah, and so the thing we were going to talk about, the main focus of this whole podcast was about serving the song.
Yeah.
How do you serve the song? Like what I love about you also is, like, to be honest with you, when I first heard about you playing with Rory Ellis, right? I thought, how's this going to work? Because you've got like Rory's a fantastic songwriter, great singer, amazing act. See Rory Ellis and Christian Marsh there. Christian, I've just noticed you're covered by this stupid. Right. Just move to the left a little bit. The branding, yeah. So Rory is like an amazing guitar player, amazing singer, amazing songwriter. And when I first heard you guys were getting together, I thought, how's this going to work? Because Rory's like a Johnny Cash type vibe, I would say. Like he's really good country sort of musician. And then you've got Charlie Parker on harmonica. Christian plays a lot of jazz. But I love the way you've adapted to be empathetic to what he's doing and just actually added the icing on the cake beautifully. You know?
Thank you. Look, excuse me. I've my whole career has been playing with songwriters. Right. I've had times when I've played with bands and stuff, but a lot of it's been with songwriters. Now, a songwriter, if you're going to play something melodic over a songwriter's song, it has to add something to the message of the song.
Yep.
And I've worked with Glenn Cardy, who's worked, probably, great. He's written 800 songs. He'd be the songwriter in Australia that's unmatched. And when you play with artists like that, you have to add something that is conducive to the message of the song.
Yep.
It's no good just blowing harp over things. You have to be a melodic player and choose melodic phrasing and playing in positions that really relate to what the message they're trying to get across. That's the trick to it. And so that's why I use chromatic and diatonic, and sometimes both in a song, because I want different textures, and the chromatic can offer one texture and the diatonic can offer another. And so, that's the art of playing with songwriters has been a great lesson for me, in melodic phrasing and learning melodic phrases. So you just have to work. Like, sometimes I think, okay, in this song I'm an oboe player, or in this song I'm going to play. Think like a trumpet player,
or a Hammond organ.
Hammond organ's a common one.
Yeah.
And so that's how I think.
Do you ever think about playing a bass harmonica, friend?
I've got a bass harmonica, and I have played bass harmonica. I played it in Big River and in the stage musical I did once. And I've played it on album recordings. I've done a fair bit of bass harmonica.
So Christian's played on the Big River with John English. There was a Marsha Hines on that as well?
No, there was...
John English, Cameron Daddo?
It was Cameron Daddo was in the lead role.
Doug Parkinson?
And then you had Doug Parkinson. There's Michael Edward Stevens was the lead role. And you just had... it was a fantastic singers, and John Bell was one of the lead actors, Drew Forsyth, and so it was a fantastic show, and that was basically about Huck Finn, and it was about it was country music. So I played country music in that show.
Well, I mean, Christian plays a lot of different genres. I mean, but your love is jazz, is it? Would you say? Well,
look, I'd probably be somewhere between jazz, rock, and blues. If my choice is of genres would be somewhere in there.
Great new album out by Christian Marsh. There you go. Where can we grab this album, Christian?
You can buy it on my website, christianmarsh.com.
And I will put a link to that. I should have had a link there, but I'll put a link to that so it's live on when I post this. So,
but it's on Spotify,
So if you don't want to pay for it, you can stream it on Spotify. But buy the album, Bandcamp or wherever. Christian will have it there. It's a beautiful album, and there's quite a few albums that you've put out, and I love them all.
Yeah, 4 now.
What's that one that the island one?
5 Islands.
5 Islands, yeah.
Yeah.
They got an award, didn't it?
Yeah, ABC
Yeah, that's right.
award for
Yeah.
best instrumental, but that was on Planet Bound,
Yeah,
which
Planet
was an
Bound.
album I did quite a while ago. But they're all on Spotify. You can get them on Apple Music or wherever, if you want to listen to them.
But yeah, like, it's great to have you in here. It's a real honour to have you in here, Christian. But there's a few questions come in. What do we got? So Carl Bunce from Gosford. I did a workshop last weekend actually on beginner's harmonica. Carl Bunce is saying, what got you interested in playing the harmonica?
Okay. This is an interesting story. My dad was a jazzer, and he listened to Charlie Parker, Duke Ellington, Miles Davis, blah, blah, blah. And Mum was into George Gershwin and all that kind of stuff. My brother was into Deep Purple and rock, and deep Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix and Cream, because my brother was a fair bit older. And I really loved music, and I wanted to play an instrument. And I loved Hammond organ, just loved it. And I wanted to play Hammond organ. But I came from a large family. We didn't have a great deal of money. And I said to my mum, I'd love to play Hammond organ. She said, we'll never be able to afford to set you up with that sort of rig. Is there anything else you'd like? Something that we can afford. And I liked the sound of harmonica because it had that great tone and fatness of sound, which sort of really attracted me. And I said, well, I like harmonica. And Mum said, well, if I buy you a harmonica, will you promise to learn how to play it?
Well, you did that.
And so I did. And not long after that, I got into the school band. We played at school, and I played harmonica and tried to fit it in with the ensemble and all that sort of stuff. And I just kept going, and I kept being invited to play with different bands. And then I did my first recording session at 2SM when I was at school. I had to get leave from school to go and do a session.
2SM.
And so it kind of went on from there, and I never felt the need in those days to do anything else. I never planned to be a professional player, never planned to be a full-on harmonica player. It's just I just followed the line, followed the lead, and thought, okay, here we go.
Well, good on you, man. You've done great. It's like amazing. Yeah. So that's what got you interested in playing the harmonica. Now, what else we got here? Phil from Philby, calls himself Philby, Mid North Coast again. As a learner harmonica player, would you recommend? I'm gonna change what he said a little bit because I think it's a bit catchphrasy. As a learner harmonica player, would you recommend I listen to or get a feel for the strength and value of harmonica without their playing being complicated? So I think what he's asking is, would you listen or recommend anybody that would give you a value of harmonica insight without getting too complicated?
Yeah,
I think that's what he's trying to say.
I'd defer to blues every time.
Yeah.
Lots of blues harmonica players out there. A lot of them are great, and they do great stuff all in second position. A lot of it's in second position. It's all very approachable, like the Paul Butterfield and Paul Butterfield's a classic because he sort of brought harmonica to the white audience, really.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And I think he's great, and I think his playing's approachable. So I'd go for things like Paul Butterfield.
Paul Butterfield.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get you to play something, right? So there's a bit of people can hear a bit of.
Yeah.
What do you want to play?
Well, do you want me to play chromatic, diatonic?
Maybe play a chromatic melody off your album, and then play a bit of diatonic too. So this is just to give you the complexity of what Christian can do on this instrument.
Okay.
What chromatic is that? Super. This is Super 64.
This is a Super 64X. It's a new
one.
model. Yeah.
It's black and beautiful.
Yeah, it is. But I'm used to playing this with band, but I'll just with that one. short jazz thing.
Beautiful.
And the thing is with chromatics, you can play bluesy things with chromatic. So it's not jazz and classical and all that. You can play blues, not bluesy stuff like. So that's kind of bluesy.
That's kind of crazy.
and there's questions about bending and
Well, can you bend on a chromatic?
The thing is that you can bend half a tone.
But the thing is, what about the wind savers?
They don't get in the way. So
Okay.
so like you can use bending like.
Yeah, so you can bend notes, and there's a question coming up about the different degrees of bending, which you can get on the diatonic. And the diatonic is more of a toy. I said that to Joe Felisko, and he said, well, I wouldn't call it a toy, but it's like, it's a little bit like not made as well as a chromatic, right? So,
well, there's a different kind of engineering involved in it. The chromatic harmonica was pretty much invented in the 20s because harmonicas were originally designed in Eastern Europe to play melodies on.
to do all those,
yeah,
all that sort of stuff.
And so, but you couldn't play. There's missing a few notes. And so with the chromatic, it sort of gave you the option of a chromatic scale, so you kind of get.
What about chords on a chromatic?
Well, you can get chords by
Tongue blocking and stuff.
Yeah, but you can go. I don't really use them myself because it doesn't suit.
Well, the chords are more of a diatonic thing.
Yeah.
So just so that those of you who aren't versed on it, there are notes missing from the bottom of a diatonic harmonica. If I take C harmonica as a reference, the bottom four notes, you've got notes missing, so you can play a C chord or a G chord, right? And a chromatic is like a piano, basically.
Yeah.
You press the button in, you get the black keys.
You
leave it out, you get the white keys. Awesome. So, Big Blind Ray, who's I think he's one of the actual original founders and masters of the Australian Harmonica Network, and he can
Hello, Ray.
he can overblow very well.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what Harmonica Christian is using in his kit these days. Thanks, mate.
Okay.
What's your favourite harp?
Well, I use rockets these days.
Right.
In live
Hohner rockets.
For all live performance, I use Hohner rockets.
Why do you use Hohner rockets over Special 20s?
Well, they're very similar, but I think the rockets are a bit louder.
Right.
And I think they spend a little more time setting them up in the studio.
Okay, cool.
And so, out of the box, I think they're a better instrument.
Have you ever used custom things like Neil Graham harmonicas or anything, or Joe Felisko? Or
I've tried them. I'm fussy about how my own setup is.
Yep.
Like I set myself up for overblowing and stuff.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And I'm the only one that seems to know how to set them up for me.
So how do you set up a harmonica for overblowing? Because so overblowing is something I've never really done. So overblowing is Howard Levy, Jason Ritchie, Christian Marsh, and it's getting tones that aren't available on the harmonica. So like bending notes. When you do a bending note, you go. That's not meant to be on a harmonica either. But there's a whole lot of other notes you get from overblowing, which allows Christian players like that to play in various. Excuse me. Various keys that aren't normally there.
Yeah.
I heard a Golden Melody's better. Is that?
Well, the Golden Melody, the Golden Melody's tuned equal tempered.
Right.
And so C and D are equal tempered like a piano.
Yep.
Whereas to make a harmonica sound good, you flatten one of the middle note is flattened a little bit.
Right. Okay.
So you get a nice sounding chord.
Yep.
If it was equal tempered, the chord sounds a bit rough. And so if you use a golden melody and play chords, you can hear the chordal things sound a little bit rough. And the reason overblowing works better on a golden melody is because the tuning's so exact.
Right. Okay.
And if they're just a micro,
that makes sense.
Micro amount out,
That's good to
they
know.
don't overblow properly. So the first thing about overblowing is that you have to tune your harmonicas so that C and D is tuned to a tuner, and then you'll get the temperament between the reeds is exact, and then you lower the reed angle a little bit on the draw note. Now, when you overblow, it's not the blow note that's making the noise; it's the draw note, and the draw note's going to pop up a semitone. So. That's actually the draw note sounding.
Was that you just overblown?
Yeah, that note. That's the draw note. So and with the overdraw, that first note, the overdraw, that's the blow note sound.
And what is an overdraw? Can you just explain it simply and the difference between?
Well, the overblow is you're blowing into say hole 6, and you're kind of forming your vocal cavity into an E sound,
yep.
and it forces the air to in such a way that the draw reed sounds in sympathy.
Yep.
And it'll pop up a semitone.
Yep.
And the overdraw is when you're doing it reverse. You're drawing in and causing the blow note to pop up.
And would I be correct in saying that the reason you can do that is because, ironically, the harmonicas are not made as good as a chromatic, so the wind savers stop all that stuff?
You wouldn't be able to overblow.
Because they're not made that well.
Yeah, right.
It's like a... How did it come about? Is Howard Levy invented... Who invented overblowing? Was it Howard or...
Howard Levy certainly popularised it and explored it fully and brought it to the world.
Right.
I remember players using it before that. And I used to use it by accident. I used to play with Guy Dickerson. We used to do Midnight Rider.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it on an E harmonica, and I was overblowing on the 6, and I didn't actually know what it was before then. And I didn't realise what it was until Howard Levy popularised it. Really.
Cool.
So.
That's good. All right, so Len Sargent's now talking about how to set up an amp, whether it's tube or solid state, and organising effects pedals such as the Lone Wolf Boogeyman. Okay. So I'll say something about this. I like Lone Wolf pedals, but I found a great little... I'll have to show it to you. A great little pedal called the Joyco American Sound, which is like an emulator of Fender amps. And the Boogeyman's good. The Lone Wolf is a specialised harmonica thing, but the Joyco pedal is good. I guess what he's saying... I mean, in answer to that question from my point of view is if you've got a tube amp, you don't really need a pedal to some degree if you're after that Fender sound, as long as you're not feeding back, right? The pedal is... I play through as Christian does, I play through an AR, acoustic amplifier, and I use the Joyco American Sound to emulate a Fender amp through a solid state amp, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, what would you say about that?
Okay, look, there's a million ways to set up a chain of pedals, but I'll keep it simple because we could go on about this for hours.
Yeah.
Let's keep it real simple. If you've got a bullet mic, right? A bullet mic has a jack input like that one.
Yeah.
And you stick that into the mic, and then the other end of the cable goes into the pedal because they're jack inputs, and you feed them along your chain of pedals, and then into the amp. Happy days. You've got a sound. If you're using a mic like a 58 or a 57 or any mic that takes a Canon,
this one up here,
any mic that takes a Canon input,
like an XLR, we've got
an XLR. I'm I'm sure
We're
there's
just fiddling around with
there's
spaghetti
one on the
cables
end
at
of
the
it.
moment.
And so I've dug all these cables up off the floor. If you got one of these, now you've got a problem because your pedals require a jack, and you've got this, and you can't plug it in the pedals. So what you do is you get a matching transformer, and a matching transformer goes onto the end of this, and it's a female cannon to a jack. And what that does is it matches the impedance between the low impedance mic and the high impedance pedal, and so it then converts.
Yeah.
That
Are they easy to get a hold of?
No, dead simple. Any music shop,
Right,
ask
okay.
for an impedance transformer.
Yep. Okay.
Tell them what you want to do. I want to plug a microphone into a pedal. You know,
Yep,
that's the only way you can do it.
Yep. Yep.
So and then that's the only hiccup there, and then you go through your pedals and into your amp. Happy
Right,
days.
cool.
The other circumstance, so I'll only go through 3 of them. You've got your pedals on the floor. You've figured out how you plug your mic into the pedals, and the sound guy comes up, and he's got a female cannon in his hand, and he's going, where do I plug my female cannon into your rig? And the thing is that he can't. So what you do is you ask for a DI. All of the sound guys carry them, and so he puts a DI on the floor, and you plug with a jack lead from your pedal into the DI.
Yeah, that's like going straight into
and
the
that
PA.
goes straight to the
Straight into
sound
PA,
guy.
yeah.
PA, happy days, there you are.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the simple.
Yep.
I mean, I could show you pedal trains and all sorts of stuff, but but let's not go there. I've given you the 3 simple circumstances
Yeah.
that you'll find, and
Right.
if you can solve that problem, you're in.
If you can ever see Christian live, go and see him. He's got some amazing sounds coming out of that thing. Not only is he like a great chromatic player and diatonic player, but he uses his pedal board to create a sound to serve the song, and not like that's the thing. I find a lot of blues players overplay, right?
Yeah.
I look, I'm going to put it out there and say 70% of blues players, harmonica players, I see overplay, but you don't, and even as someone like Clayton Doley on the piano, on the keys, because you know your shit and you put it down, you do what is needed, right? So, what do we got here? This is Alan from the Mid-North Coast. This is a bit of a technical one, right? So, technical from a scientific point of view. I'm new to the harmonica. He's one of my students, and I understand notes all sit on a continuum measured of hertz, and I also understand that bending a note is moving the sound along that continuum. Why do some notes bend more than others?
Okay, let's just clarify the hertz thing. Hertz is sound vibration. Okay, now, if a sound vibrates 440 times in a second, it's an A. If it's lower than that, it's a lower note than A. It might be G.
G.
If it vibrates higher, it's a higher note, C, B, blah, blah,
D.
blah.
Yeah.
And so that's what he means by the hertz and the vibrational level. So A vibrates at 440. That's why I call it A440, and that's what they tune to. That's what. So now notes on a harmonica. Now if you've got 2 notes in a chamber, okay, and you've got a blow note in a chamber, you've got a draw note in a chamber. If the blow note is 1 tone above the draw note, you're able to bend the draw note down a semitone. Okay, so you'll be able to bend the draw note within half a tone of the blow note. If you're in a chamber and you've got 2 notes difference, so if say the upper chamber's got a G and the lower upper chamber's got a B, a lower chamber's got a B or something, you've got 2 notes and you can bend the draw note a tone and a half. That means that you're bending it within a half a tone of the blow note. So if you have larger intervals in a whole, you can bend the note further. That's just the science of the way they work. Overblows are a little bit different in as much as the overblow will force the draw note to make the sound, and it'll pop up a semitone above whatever the draw note's tuned to. So that's basically the science of it. And Richter tuning has...
Sorry, you better explain what you mean by Richter tuning.
Richter tuning is how diatonic harmonics are tuned.
Okay.
the tuning has presented some interesting phenomena, and you could do a physics student could do a paper on it, because there's lots of interesting anomalies in Richter tuning.
Yeah.
And of course, the bending, the capabilities of bending and everything gives you the colour of the instrument. And the overblow thing too, I forgot to say this. Overblowing's giving you extra notes, but and they give you, they add to your phrasing capability, and just as bending notes adds to the capability of harmonics, so does overblowing.
Right.
So if you can make melodic statements using overblows, like it just adds to the
it adds.
Adds to the melodic statements that you can make.
Right.
And harmonicas do, different harmonicas do. Some of them are harder to overblow and overdraw than others. It's not. It's hard to get them clean, but you work on it.
Because overblows, to get that sound is like, the tone is harder to get with an overblow and get a beautiful tone.
Yeah, the overblows tend to blow a little bit sharp, and you have to bend them down a bit. See, it's a little bit sharp, and you have to bend it down.
Do you have a preference between diatonics and chromatic? Like, if here's a question for you: if I was to say you can have, well, it's a silly question because you need more than one diatonic, but if you were to choose between a diatonic and a chromatic, which would you choose?
Look, it depends on what I'm playing.
Right. Okay.
I use them both because some tunes sound better on diatonic than chromatic.
Yeah.
Some tunes sound better on chromatic than diatonic, and I will look at a tune and use both and think, no, you know what, I'm going to use this one.
Do you tune your own harps?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So next question. In your experience, this is from, I think this is from Sean Costello, I believe. Mm-hmm. In your experience mastering overblows, have you found that certain keys on the harmonica are more conducive to achieving clean and consistent overblows? Okay. If so, which do you find?
Okay, look, the mid-range harmonicas.
And I'm just going to my phone for a second because Sean has sent me a few questions, so I apologise.
Yeah, look, so let's, as a harmonica gets lower in key, the overblowing and overdrawing gets a little harder. And also when they get into the higher keys like F, E flat, F, because the reeds are shorter, they can be quite squealy. So, anywhere between A and say D, you've got a fairly good range of consistent overblows and stuff. In the lower register, they're harder to get, and in the higher register, they're squealy. So,
mid. So you say
so
mid,
on a C. See that overdraws really hard. And so if I were to, it's that harmonica.
So what we're doing here, folks, just so you know, is like where Christian is doing stuff on the harmonica that most people don't even attempt, really.
Yeah.
So when he's saying that note's not available, it's like it's like something that most people just pick up the harp and play blues, right, and do blues blowing things. Christian's like scientifically working through getting extra notes that. One of the it's like an amazing instrument. This whole overblow, even bends aren't meant to be on the harmonica, and the overblow things aren't. They're not meant to be there, and he's pulling out notes that aren't.
So what this harmonica, that reed there, I'm going to take that one apart and I'm going to play with it to get it right, because this is not working. Like, this is a B flat harmonica. See that the overdraw was nice and clean then.
Yep.
That's a 9 overdraw.
Yep.
And it's getting high, So, so if you get a harmonica that's set up properly, and in the perfect world, this one is. you know, and you can build them
jazz,
into
man.
your
Like,
melody and stuff,
yeah,
you know.
cool.
But like I say, it's not like you. Howard Levy's fantastic at it, and there's some great players at it. But sometimes the harmonicas need attention, because sometimes if their tuning changes a little bit, you can some of them. So if that happens to me on stage, I'm thinking, right, I'm putting that one down. I'm going to pick up another one, and I'm going to have to work and get that sounding good again.
So that brings to the question. So overblowing. If you're going to be getting into overblowing, you've got to get into tuning too, pretty much.
It'd help.
Yep. Okay. So, on the extension of this question is, what techniques have you found helpful in overcoming challenges with overblows?
Getting your harmonicas right, and because I use these harmonicas live, they play up. You know, so they clock up, and sometimes I get to a gig and notes don't work, and I'm thinking, oh man, you know. But the thing to get them right is get the tuning between the two holes needs to be equal tempered, like tuned to a piano or tuned to a tuner.
Yep.
So that the upper and the lower notes are exactly a tone apart, and then the reed angles of the draw note needs to be slightly lower than you would get it out of the box.
Yep.
But different players have different requirements. It depends on the shape of your vocal cavity.
Yep.
You know, it's not an easy technique, but it's worth pursuing.
The other question Sean's has is, are they available as off-the-shelf harmonicas, or as opposed to custom or modified harmonicas? And I think Christian just said he modifies his own harp, Sean.
Yeah.
So like, he grabs off-the-shelf harmonicas, and he's Jay Falisco called Howard Levy. I'm going to put you in the same boat. Jay Falisco called Howard Levy, or Brendan Power actually, a mad scientist. So you're all mad scientists, like you're twiddling with things and getting them right. So, is that right, Christian? Like, you can get them off the shelf, but you're probably going to have to customise them yourself to some degree.
I've rarely found one that is perfect off the shelf.
Could you share any tips or adjustments you make to ensure reliable overblows during performances?
Work on it before you get up. Like, it would have paid me to go through these and get these sounding good. But look, you're going to find that they do. Your notes can clog. You can have problems with them. It's just like harmonicas. Keep your harmonicas clean. And keep them well tuned, and you'll have less problems with them. And the other thing is that a lot of harmonica players think that blowing really hard gives them something else, but it doesn't. No. You're better off being a reasonably playing at a really comfortable level, and letting your mic and all your gear give you give it to them.
If it sounds crap in a room without a mic, it's going to sound crap but amplified through it. I mean, one of the most amazing experiences I had was playing with Ian Collard on stage, and Ian plays quite quietly. Until he played with the backsliders. And then he had to amp it up a bit, but you know, he's quite quiet. Cool. All right, so I've got a question here from the gentle giant, Rory Ellis, who I think you know Rory pretty well. Rory's just mentioning that you guys are playing at Blues on Broadbeach, and what are you looking forward to there? I think he's probably looking forward to you shouting him and me, or Rory probably, but... I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be a good gig. It's a great festival.
And Rory and I have been working for a while on getting a sound that's kind of unique.
Well, like I said, like, I've got massive respect for you, as you know, and Rory. I think, like, Stuart Coop gave me a whole stack of CDs when I started working with him. One was Rory and one was Lisa Richards, and both of those really stuck out, you know. And Rory's an amazing songwriter, and I was trying to work out how it would all sort of... It's garbage night here in Sydney, so if you're hearing that, you're hearing people roll out the bins. But basically, Rory's a great songwriter, and I was trying to work out how it would fit with, you know, but you've really served the song and made it sound fantastic. It's like it's a great duo. Go see Rory Ellis and Christian Marsh. They're really, really awesome.
You know, we've worked on material for a while. We play songs that Rory writes songs, and we play them live, and I find melodic kind of hook lines to go into the songs to give it, so that you've got some melodic thing that supports what he's doing.
Exactly,
And when we're at the stage now where we're ready to do pre-record stuff, and we want to record the CD live, it's just like as a performance CD, and so we're just doing our prep work for it now, and we should have a CD, I think, hopefully release. Roy's talking about September.
Okay, cool.
So we're starting this weekend, actually.
Good. I mean, so this is all about, I mean, there's a lot of harmonica players. I'll play with blues guys and I'll throw down a couple of solos, but Christian's playing a lot through Rory's songs. When I mean a lot, I don't mean overplaying. I mean, if the song goes for 3 minutes, Christian's on there for 2, but he's supporting, he's in the same way that Joe Felisko plays with Eric Noden, he is, and hopefully me with the Blues Preachers, he's supporting the song rather than here's your solo, go for it. Like he's really finding little niches to give it a bit of colour where it's required. And they're both amazing musicians. So Marcus Holden, Marcus Holden's got a question here. I didn't realise you knew him until I just did a recording with Marcus Holden. I'll play it to you after the show. Marcus has got a great studio over there at I think it's Condell Park, and he's asked a couple of questions. How do you go balancing music and lifestyle, and how has the music landscape has changed since COVID?
Yeah, okay. Well, Marcus is a fantastic musician. So, thanks for your questions. Look, I, as a specialist harmonica player that doesn't sing, I haven't placed all my hopes in being, a successful musician. All I've wanted to be is a good standard player that contributes good stuff to other people's music, and so making a living out of it's not always been that easy, especially in Australia. It's a bit, it might be different in Europe, but the playing opportunities in Australia are not, for a specialist harmonica player, not that broad. I used to do an awful lot of sessions when I was younger, but that's kind of all disappeared seemingly now. And so I have to do casual work sometimes to support. I've worked as a musician a year here and a year there or whatever, but when it just all gets too hard, I don't want to, I like my house and I like eating and
Fair enough.
And I need to run a car, and so I just go and do a casual job.
Yeah, cool.
And I've been lucky in that way that I've got other skills that people want, so I work casually. And with COVID, I find that COVID has changed things a lot, in as much as the playing opportunities have diminished even further, and people have been slow to come back out again and listen to music.
Eric Noden and Joe Felisko have gone completely, pretty much 90% online.
Yeah.
And they're doing shows online, and because they've got a big listenership, people are just joining in. Another question from Marcus. What do you think is the best way to navigate the dreaded social media?
Yeah, and hi Marcus, I know exactly what you're saying here. Now the thing is that in our day, you played, you went out, you practiced, you played good enough, you went out, you performed on stage, and only people that were of a certain standard got to make albums, because you had to go, a record company had to sign you up and you go in and record, and they spent lots of money on you. Now anyone can record, and so the competition in the landscapes become much fiercer, and people are going in and to venues and playing for next to nothing, because they want the gig, and so it makes it hard to be a professional player and say, no, we want X amount of money, and these guys are taking peanuts. And so it's been hard. Now, what I've found from doing albums now is that if you're online on Facebook saying, look at me everyone, here's me again, here's another video of me, here I am, blah 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 blah, people visit your website, you get visits, they go to your Spotify, they'll go to Apple Music, they'll go and listen to you, and you can see that you're playing amount of plays that you get increases, and then as soon as you stop, and it diminishes it, so you're stuck with it. And I don't feel comfortable with it, because I don't feel like the personality type to be out there going, look at me, everyone, look at me, at me, listen to me, listen, look. I can't do that, and so I'm running against the tide here. I can't be that guy, and so
I think from my point of view, like I get it, and I was been down there, but I've realised lately that the word social, as in social media, it's sort of supposed to be an engagement process. So like we've had a bunch of people ask questions that have come through social media for this, and I think what's wrong with social media is it's an ad platform, and people just say, look at me, look at me, look at me. Whereas I think the only way to treat it organically is to, hey, I've got Christian Marsh on here talking about harmonicas. Do you have a question? And like, let's talk about shit. And
this is cool.
I mean, that's what it's more valuable. Like I've got a line in my song Babylon. There's nothing social about social media. I'd rather swallow an encyclopedia, right? Because it's all about like just ads. But I think the only way to be good on social media, and when I say good is I mean productive, for value for everybody, is to try and get some combination of like a phone call, right? So that's
the other thing I find. A lot of people are they're filming themselves playing a tune, La Harmonica or whatever, playing a tune, in their lounge room and putting it out to the world, blah, 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 and that's great. If you can get lots of people listening, more power to you, that's all I can say. But the thing is that I get a sense that, a measure of a player, as far as I'm concerned, is I have to sit in their company for an hour listening to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I'll say, okay, that's I know what kind of player they are.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people, they're just doing a song or two here and there.
It's a 30-second. And the problem is it's the scrolling 30 seconds. Like this, we're about to wrap up now. This has gone for 48 minutes.
Okay.
And it's been good. It's been great. And hopefully people watch it to the end. Some will, some won't. But the thing is that I'm trying to do here is just like, I teach a bunch of people how to get started. Yeah. And I'm just trying to give some value back to those people, so there's a bit, and also highlight people like yourself that I respect, so.
Thank you. It's
no, thanks for coming on.
That's all right.
Thanks for coming
Thank
on,
you
man.
for having me.
And go see Rory Ellis and Christian Marsh. Are you playing with any other people you want to mention?
With Dr. Good Vibe.
Dr. Good Vibe.
I've done 4 albums with that
this album
band.
here. This album here, the new one.
And I've done lots of albums. I've done 60 albums.
60 albums. Catch you later.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in.